when I read self-management as the first attribute, I quite got excited because all of this understanding and knowledge of where you come from in your background, and flagging it as, hey, you come from this place and you're walking into this place. It's a way of explaining to people to recognize that the world's not against you, or the world's not shutting you out. The world is just always, no matter where you go, gonna be different from your space where you come from. And the idea is that you don't change who you are for the world, but you arrive knowing that there is a difference, and you arrive knowing that you are unique and different, which is good because you're there to sprinkle something different in that space. But as with all things, when you arrive somewhere and this thing is this big, and then or the other way around, let's do it that way, it's easier. You're this big and this thing is kind of small. You have to find a way to create a moment where you can meet each other halfway. And it's a subtle skill that it's going to take you very far, because it doesn't change who you are. It says, a wannabe mentor of mine years ago said to me, Pride, you're one of the most dynamic young people I've ever met. You're actually incredibly powerful with your tongue. You can really do good, and you can really do terrible things with your tongue. Like, you need to understand that very quickly, because you're a truth speaker, and truth speakers don't have the filter. So you need to learn that filter. But what he said that I took away forever and a day is, he said, you also have incredible freedom that most people don't have, freedom in your mind that other people don't have. Whatever happens, don't let your freedom limit others from finding their freedom. I never understood it. I just thought, this guy is just trying to limit me. I'm a woman, I'm Black, I'm fighting. I never got it. And what he was trying to say was, because you are gifted with this incredible freedom, when you walk into places where people are not free, anything you say to bring them with you might seem like an attack, because they already know that they don't have the freedom. They already feel that they haven't arrived where they should arrive. So since you're already free, right? Find a way to meet them at their level of freedom, so that they can feed from you, and over time, then they'll find their version of freedom, which might not look like yours. And so this skill to meet people somewhere is something we can miss in today's culture, especially because we're in a constant battle. If you're a female, you're battling for a seat at the table. If you're marginalized in any way, you're battling for a seat at the table. So this constant battle may make everything sound like resistance. So you might miss the part where you are actually bringing something new to the room. So in this context, the idea is to let someone know that the world is, in fact, a different place. That's a fact. If we let them walk out of this 10 years without knowing that, we would have done them a disservice. The world is very different from you or anything that you are about, where you come from, because you are unique. But that uniqueness is important to know. So spend more time knowing your uniqueness. The only thing you can do something about is yourself. You can do very little sometimes about environments around you. So when you are you, and you come from a background that you've defined the story in a very small or insignificant way, when you walk into these spaces, you will feel small and insignificant. So the journey here is self-management and self-knowledge. So know yourself, know where you come from, know your history, know that all those things might look different when you walk in the room. And then when you walk in that room, make sure that you are so uniquely okay with who you are, that when the room requires a loud person and you're not a loud person, you still know that the minimum you have to do to meet someone halfway is to actually just speak, but speak in your own tone, but speak in your own way, but speak, because speak is so most of the time, if you're an introvert and you walk into a room and you sit on the sidelines and you don't interact, you haven't done the minimum to meet people somewhere. Meet people somewhere. And then when you get there, be yourself. But if you don't meet them somewhere, anywhere, you're not going to get the opportunity to even be yourself. You're not going to get the opportunity to hear from them. Just walk in and meet them somewhere. I had a big argument with this big scary dude, and he was literally he wanted to know something, but he was just like forcing his maleness and his whiteness on me. And immediately my reaction was just going to be, I'm just going to show him how loud I am. We were not going to get anywhere, you know, because he's loud and I'm like, ah, and he's like, ah. To meet him somewhere, I just diffused the situation. I said, I need you to know that right now I'm feeling very intimidated by your whiteness, your size, your maleness, and the fact that I already know that I'm a meek little woman. So everything I'm saying to you, well, how I'm yelling at you is just because I'm intimidated. So instead of making me feel even more intimidated, why don't you actually tell me why you're angry with me? And then we can figure out a solution, or we can walk away and never meet each other again. Do you know how weird that was? That level of authenticity that just dropped the room. It was just like, they were in the parking lot, for heaven's sake. But it just diffused the whole situation. It was like, he literally looked at me and he was like, because now I've just met him at a, you know, he was here and I just met him somewhere. He came down to meet me and I rose to my level and then we just met each other there. And he said, oh, honestly, I was just mad because you parked too close to my car. I said, oh, I'm really sorry. But I didn't scratch your car. So are we good? Are we okay? Yeah, we're good. And that was it. It went from like an eruption to like a very easy source. So the if I bring it back into these rooms, most of these rooms, people are looking for eager young people. Young people are tired. So this idea of this energetic young people walking into rooms is also a fallacy. You know, people are looking for young people who can name trends and look cool, which is honestly the most horrible thing you can do to anyone young coming into an interview at this point. People want to hear about, you know, when you walk into a room, I know like when we're interviewing for a digital specialist, everyone's always looking for, what does their Instagram look like? I'm like, you know, it's such a funny thing because just because you're a digital expert doesn't mean you do all that work on your own stuff. You know, like work, it might be a very separate thing. But because perceptions in the room look for this idea of complex problem solving, curiosity, creativity, all those things, if you are in fact lacking the moment to, like you are the introvert in the room, what I want to teach them is meet them at a point where you can at least be, you know, create the opportunity to be yourself. So if you're in a room and you can already feel the expectation is that you know everything, stick to the one subject you actually know as a start so you can open your mouth. You know, say something like, if problem solving is what they're looking for, explain how you solve something complex in your personal life. I know you'll think, oh my gosh, I can't bring my personal life into the room. But maybe that's where you feel the most comfortable. Maybe that's where you're like, you know, when my siblings couldn't do X, Y, and Z, I made sure, you know, I called this person, I connected here, I did that. And for me, that was a signal that I have the attributes to solve problems. And so I hope to do that in your organization. It already shifts the moment, you know. So it's more about just arrive and find the bare minimum that brings people to where you are. Yeah, and then the rest is up, just be yourself. Don't be anything else, but be yourself. I didn't know that my culture was affecting my professional career. I didn't know that where I come from affects my professional career. I didn't know that the way I viewed older people affects my professional career, especially men affects my professional career. I didn't know any of those things. So knowing made me think, I must stop comparing everyone to my dad. Very small thing, very big outcome, you know. My dad is like a genius. So I expect that everybody to behave in that way. He's like this, to me, he's this genius who's very self-aware, who's very like conscious, but also very like strict. So you can't do anything wrong. That's not how every male figure behaves. So it's small things like that, that it's just a way of saying your world is different, but embrace it in a way that you go, what do I bring in this new world that I'm stepping into? And how can I meet people at a bare minimum so that they have the opportunity to listen to me, even if I don't like the attributes they are looking for yet? So interviews require you to be like the superhuman. Maybe it's not a bad idea to try on the superhuman jacket for 5 minutes before you let it back to just being you again. Maybe it's not a bad idea to be loud for 1 minute and then go, okay, guys, this is actually my real turn. You know, maybe it's not a bad idea to step out of your own shoes here and there and be Batman. And then you can go back to being Robin. But try those. You're too young to just stay a Robin anyway. Just try it. Walk into the room, tell yourself for the first 5 minutes, I'm giving them full energy. And then once you settle, go, okay, let's talk, because everyone's looking for a Batman in the first 5 minutes. And that's just the way the interview process goes. So sometimes when they say confidence, it's also just first impressions. It's the person mumbling through the interview. I've interviewed a lot of students from disadvantaged backgrounds. And the one thing I will say is they mumble through their whole interview completely. And I even met one at a mall a couple of weeks later, and she was very talkative. And I was sitting there going, where were you the other day? You know what I mean? So it's sometimes it's that. So we can go through all the steps, but I think the point you make about being yourself is possibly, yes, we don't want them to change who they are, but the understanding of being a professional introvert means that you understand that you're so different from the environment you're going to walk into. How do you at least arrive at a place where people can meet you where you are? And then we can have that discussion. Open the door. And once the door's open, you can literally just settle into the space.